You are a smart professional, you are intelligent, and you know what you can do to try to be at your best internally as well as performing well externally. Yet, the overwhelm keeps showing up. The calmness does not remain in pressure moments. Why does this really happen and how to solve this? That's precisely what we're going to be unpacking in today's deep dive video. If this is something that you want to understand and overcome, you may want to save this video so that you can come back to it later. Also, stay till the very end and watch the entire video because at the end, I will be revealing to you how you can solve this for yourself quickly and what is the right next step. So let's dive in. First, let's understand the landscape a little bit. Professionals, leaders, high performing people, they have a lot of things to do in their day. Their life is fast paced, hectic. They manage high responsibilities at work. They have a lot of personal ambition and they also want to provide and care for their families deeply. That definitely brings about pressure situations during the day. For example, your goal is to achieve a high position in your organization. You're going to be putting in your very best day in and day out, and hence it's going to feel a little bit pressured when you know that your next promotion is coming up. You're going to be wanting to perform better and better to get that promotion. These kind of situations will always show up. And in those moments, you're always going to be trying the things that you know. Deep breathing, working out, exercising, meditating, all these things give you relief, yet those issues seem to come back in the next situation again. Now, why does this really happen? In a nutshell, and I would really want to say one thing over here that practices such as eating right, meditating, being mindful, exercising are great and I recommend them throughout my work in the Bulletproofing Happiness coaching programs. There is nothing wrong with them. The only thing is they are a little bit limited in the sense that they give you immediate relief by focusing on what is the impact that you have in that moment, whereas what you really want is deep rooted resolution so that those issues don't show up again and again and again, or at least they become less intense every subsequent time. So, the result, what you want, that can only be achieved by understanding the mechanics of what really creates overwhelm in the first place, and not just how to deal with the overwhelming feeling in that moment. And honestly, that's precisely how the Bulletproofing Happiness Framework was born. About 23 years ago, I was a young person in my teens, entering adulthood soon, when I began facing extreme pressures which compromised my internal composure and calmness significantly. I was an extremely good student. I wanted to perform well, yet the strains of performing well were causing a lot of issues internally. I constantly felt behind. I constantly felt that I was not being perfect. And these constantly put overthinking modes on in me. So that's when, after having gone through so many traditional methods of counseling, psychological counseling, and even traditional psychiatric medicines to overcome these mental issues, or in a sense, let's just call them mental disturbances, I wanted to go deeper and get long lasting results. So that's how the Bulletproofing Happiness Framework was born. And let me unpack that for you now. Essentially, the Bulletproofing Happiness Framework works on five pillars. The first one is mindset. What is mindset? Mindset is essentially a sort of the tendency that one person has to think and feel in a particular way. It's a kind of a collective thought process that makes it easier to move down a particular mental path. For example, if somebody has many times experienced a situation where they are told that they were not doing very well, the mindset might have become that they aren't very great performers, and so the tendency to think and feel that way would be magnified in that person. The second pillar is the quality of thoughts and emotions. What does this really mean? We all have thoughts and emotions all day long. Some of them are conscious and some are unconscious. The thoughts that are conscious are those in which we can work on the level and quality of those thoughts. So, if you are experiencing a challenging situation in that moment, a conscious thought can definitely be generated that would support you in navigating that in a better way. That's what it means to become vigilant and watchful of your own thoughts and emotions in terms of their quality, their texture. What is it that you inherently think about mostly? And remember, this is about the conscious part of it. Now, the third pillar is subconscious beliefs. A subconscious belief is basically different from conscious thinking. A subconscious belief is something that comes internally as a thought process without you having to put in any kind of effort. So, for example, somebody who is a perfectionist might have this belief that unless they do something absolutely brilliantly, they will not be worth it. And so, without even realizing it, that kind of a thought process plays out subconsciously. And working on this becomes essential. The fourth pillar is unconscious attitudes. Think of this more in terms of action and orientation. We all think, we all feel, we also take action. And action, in turn, also is connected to our way of thinking and feeling. So this creates a cycle. When our attitude is of, for example, being defensive, if our attitude is of being not confident, if our attitude is of being not good enough compared to others, that is going to affect the way we act in a particular situation. So, our attitude, in a sense, is also a result of our mindset and our thoughts and feelings. The fifth pillar is habits or behaviors. Now, habits and behaviors are certain actions that we have repeated so many times that they have become second nature. And in a sense, they are almost automatic. So, if a situation shows up and we respond to it and act in a particular way without really putting in much effort, that is what a habit and a behavior really means. Or that is how the habit and behavior impacts in that situation. Now, after having gone through this, I want you to really reflect. Do you think that any person's experience in any moment is a combination of their mindset, the quality of their thoughts and feelings, their subconscious beliefs, their unconscious attitudes, and finally their habits and behaviors. Because when you look deep down, it will become clear that this is the deep rooted level at which we can solve internal strains to perform at our best. So, naturally, if we want to move away from symptomatic relief and long term relief, it becomes natural that we need to work in a slightly deeper way, possibly slightly longer way with a little more effort on these parameters to identify what's going wrong over there that's causing those internal strains that is eventually leading to emotional exhaustion, overthinking loops, loss of calmness, etc. Now, if this resonates with you and you want to understand this more, feel free to comment, or you can even reach out to us by going to our website and emailing us. We will be happy to respond to your questions. And finally, if you're done with dealing with symptoms and getting temporary relief and you want to start working on the deeper rooted issues, I invite you to access our professional grade stress resilience audit, which is completely complimentary for professionals and high performers just like you. It is designed after years of research, personal high stakes anxiety, and lack of peak performance to identify the specific stress leaks in your life and to know where you need to begin working on immediately to live your desired life. The link is in the description below. As a last thing, start recognizing in your daily life when you are experiencing internal strain. Make a note of how you're dealing with it, and then come back to thinking about how these 5 pillars of the Bulletproofing Happiness Framework can actually be used over there. Take care, try your best, and I'll see you soon.